Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about winter essentials. And one of the things we want to talk about when we talk about winter essentials are all the ways that we can stay healthy in the cold. I'm going to be talking a little bit about our best essential oils for winter, but we're also going to be talking about our best essential oils that are brand new. Some of the things that I wanted to tell you about are things like our guaiac wood, and also our cinnamon bark, and our eucalyptus, our Spanish sage. We've got a great collection of essential oils, and I'm going to go into them in detail today. So winter essentials can include just about a little bit of everything. We've got everything from our On Guard essential oils, of course, our must-haves, and then we've got a couple of other things that will really get us started on the road to winter in a wonderful way. We have a season that lasts, I would say, about 3 to 4 months in certain places, but can actually last a heck of a lot longer in other places. We want things, essential oils that are warm, spicy, maybe herbaceous. We want our 3 categories would be our woods, our spices, and our herbs. So we're talking about herbaceous oils. We're talking about things like oregano, rosemary, and cardamom, of course. And I'm actually going to talk to you a little bit about some recipes. I have some amazing winter recipes for you that I've included already in the chat. Number 1 on the hit parade is our roasted butternut squash soup. It is a crowd pleaser. It's pretty easy to make, and it includes cardamom essential oil. It has black pepper in it, but you could probably add a drop of black pepper essential oil and cinnamon bark oil. And if you've never used butternut squash before, it is a little bit difficult to peel, but what you can do is actually roast it and peel it at the same time. The other thing that I've done is I have a wonderful recipe that just splits the squash in 4 pieces, puts it in the pot with, I know this sounds crazy, with the seeds first. So you just put the seeds in with some vegetable broth or some water or some chicken broth to really extract all the flavor from the seeds. Then strain that broth and then cook the butternut squash on top. Really cool cooking technique. I've actually talked to people about this before, and it gives a depth of flavor. You're probably going to throw away those seeds anyway, unless you're going to plant them. So why not get all the flavor out of them that you possibly can? Our next recipe up is actually spearmint chocolate chip cookies. Also, for anybody who's watching on YouTube, the recipe will be in the chat. It's got spearmint essential oil, but they're made with coconut oil. They could be made with 100% coconut oil or a mixture of coconut oil and butter. They do have some sugar in it, so if you're sugar-free, you're going to have to make some adjustments, perhaps. They also include chia seeds, which are a wonderful source of fiber. So chia seeds and some oats. You can see they look a little bit chunky there. Everybody in my family loves that mint chocolate thing. It's not my favorite flavoring, but if I were to make these, I'm sure they'd be super popular in my house. Let me know in the chat. Are you a chocolate and peppermint person or not really? Chocolate, I like chocolate with other things, chocolate maybe with orange or chocolate with other flavorings, but chocolate mint, just not for me. So if you are a chocolate mint person, give me a 1 in the chat. I'd love to find out. Okay, next up, we've got for you a wonderful immune booster. So you're going to try to take, and this is super easy. And if you're working with brand new people, ooh, we've got a lot of chocolate mint people out there. Okay, cool. 1 drop each of your lemon, your lavender, and your peppermint. Super easy, right? You can drink it in a glass of water. You can put it in a capsule if you prefer. It can actually reduce anxious feelings, promote a restful sleep. And the peppermint, of course, is going to help you with your respiratory function and clear breathing. One of the things that I love about our immune blends, whether you're making it yourself or you're using one that's pre-made, they really do help to, I don't know, just alleviate that feeling of stress that you can have in the winter months. These can be fairly tricky months for a couple of different reasons. You are often with family and friends. Sometimes you're in close quarters. People bring up topics of conversation, perhaps like politics, that you don't really want to talk about. The world is an interesting place. And so we want to make sure that we can always take a deep breath and relax. In line with relaxing, let's take a look at our new peppermint blend. Actually, now that we're talking about our new eucalyptus blend, sorry. Now we're talking about blends. So our original eucalyptus actually was a single source of eucalyptus. Our new one, I'm actually reading this because I want to make sure I get it right, is Eucalyptus radiata, Polybractea, Kochi, and Loxophlebia, and globulus. Oh, so it's actually 5. So it's radiata, Polybractea, Kochi, Loxophleba, I'm getting that right, and globulus. And so we're going to use our eucalyptus, our new eucalyptus blend, in the same way that you would have used your single eucalyptus. There's a couple of reasons why doTERRA went to a blend. Number one is each one of those species is going to bring a little bit of something extra to the party. So when you're talking about just one type of eucalyptus, like globulus or radiata, you're going to get certain characteristics. You might get more of a mild sensation. You might get better respiratory effects. You might get better immune function. But when you start to blend the 5 of them together, you really get an amazing synergy, if you will, of different products. So going to a 5-product or 4-product blend is really, 4-species blend is a wonderful way for doTERRA to offer us a more powerful eucalyptus. Second thing is, as you know, all of our products are natural. They're grown in the ground, and products vary from seasons. Sometimes one will have a little bit higher profile than the other, whether it's a eucalyptus or a pinene, part of the scientific elements or scientific, oh my goodness, I'm losing my words today. Part of the main constituents of the essential oil can vary from season to season. And our eucalyptus is grown in different parts of the world, allowing us to access those different constituents consistently and to create a blend that's going to give us that same result each and every time. That's one of the things that you often can't do with single species. You also run the risk of either depleting that species or putting additional stress in a certain part of the world where really it's not necessary. By spreading it out, we also allow additional farms and farmers to come online and to enjoy the beautiful benefits of working with doTERRA. So there's multiple reasons why we want to go to a blended product, not the least of which is becomes more effective and smells super delicious. We know that we can use eucalyptus for things like congestion, for free and easy breathing, for any sort of coughing, for respiratory distress of any kind. We can also use it when we're experiencing colds. We want to protect ourselves perhaps from the flu. You're going to be using it like a regular eucalyptus, whether it's applying it on the chest or on the back, here up on the neck, putting it in a bowl of water and then covering your head. You can also use it for any ear discomfort. I know many small children at this time of year can experience ear discomfort. You can be putting that around the outside of the ear to kind of unclog it and make it feel more open, if you will. Moms really like it, and I think it has the added benefit that it smells really clean. So when you have your windows and doors closed, that eucalyptus is just going to be bright and clear and clean, something that I think reminds me in general of cold weather. Let's go on and talk a little bit about pampering ourselves during the cold and winter months. When the days get shorter, the temperatures start to drop, we want to do something that for ourselves, that we're just taking care of ourselves. Our skin can get a little bit drier. We're not able to perhaps get as much vitamin D as we did in the past. We're maybe feeling a little bit drier or pasty. I like to use, of course, the body scrub from doTERRA, but I also like to do some DIY ones. If you're a DIYer, let me know in the chat. Give me a number 2 in the chat. If you love to do DIY products, projects, because we're going to talk about a couple of DIYs. And I'm just looking at the participants on this chat, and I know a lot of you like to do DIYs, and you're much more sophisticated than I am. You've done everything from soaps to lipsticks to all sorts of scrubs and bath bombs, just really amazing stuff. I would love to do some more DIYs, and I hope if I get to wherever you are, I'm going to be able to do some DIYs with you. Let's talk a little bit about a neck wrap, which is a super easy one. I know, I'm sorry, folks, I'm not super creative, but what you can do is you can take an old sock with some flax seeds or rice, and you can add your favorite essential oils. The cool thing about the rice is you can actually put it in a microwave or put it over some steam and then add it to your neck and allow it to just seep, the oils to seep in and to sit on your neck. If you remember a couple of years ago, we actually did have a neck wrap. I think it was during one of our holiday seasons. If you were able to get one of those neck wraps, I'm sure it's a coveted item right now, but you can find that neck wraps in other places. You want to make sure if you're adding essential oils to something that's pre-made, that you're not deteriorating either the fabric or whatever is inside. But if you're doing a DIY one, it's super simple, and you can make that. Most of us have some rice, maybe not flaxseed, but I'm sure you have some rice at home, and you can just fill up a sock and then gently put it on your neck and really have a nice relaxing way of kind of sitting and just getting the knots out of your shoulders. I personally have been going for acupuncture in addition to doing a little bit of massage and some physical therapy, as you know. But I find that getting my the tension out of my neck, out of my back, has really improved my mood, has helped me feel a little bit less, I don't know, less stressed. Because when you're constantly sitting like this, and we tend to look at our phones a lot with our heads down, so we're getting that, what they call now tech neck, whether it's in the front or the back. We're going to conscientiously lift up our eyes and lift up our chins, so we don't get, not only do not get double chins, but we also begin to feel a little bit healthier, and we don't develop all those cricks in our neck and our shoulders. So just be mindful if you possibly can. Okay, here's another quick DIY. This is also, again, a really super easy one. These are bath salt ornaments. Now, you can see in the photograph, we've got those clear bath salt, the clear ornaments that you can buy basically at any hobby shop. In the United States, there's a big chain called Michael's, but I know there's other ones. I'm sure places like Walmart and Target also sell them, especially at this time of year. You want to add in, you want to take a cup of Epsom salt and then a couple of drops of essential oils. Now, those darker things that are in there, you can add in some actual pieces of cloves. If you're doing something with clove, you could add some pieces of lavender in there. If you want, you could add some dried herbs or floral petals, whatever you feel that you'd like to add into your mix so that it looks a little bit more cohesive. And then, of course, you can add a little bit of food coloring. You want everything to be food safe, of course. And then when the person receives the ornament, you can tie it up with a nice little bow. You can either hang it on a tree, you can give it out as a goodie gift if you want it. And then when they actually use it, it'll come out into their tub and look really pretty and just kind of float along there. I like the way the way they look when they're being given and also when they're being used. And they should, depending on the side of the ornament, allow the person to have between 1 and 2 baths, I would say, with your ornaments. So bath salt ornaments, really easy DIY, going back to, I don't know how creative I am. I've done projects in the past, but I'm a good cook, very good cook, but DIY, I don't know. Let's talk about actually the easiest DIY ever, and that is a room spray. So this is one of my personal favorites, frankincense, Douglas fir, and grapefruit. The top note is going to be the grapefruit. So what do we mean when we say top note? It means actually that as you spray it, the first thing that you're going to smell is the grapefruit, and underneath is going to be your frankincense. That's your base note. And the Douglas fir, interestingly enough, even though it's an evergreen, and even though it is a tree or a conifer, it gives sort of an appley smell, like an appleiness. I know that sounds, I made up that word, appleiness, to the spray. And after it's been in the air for a while, the grapefruit fades. So you're going to, it's like the sparkle, and then the sparkle fades, right? And then you're going to get that heavier, heartier note of apple, pine, and spiciness of the frankincense. So this is one of my personal favorites. It will definitely put you in a great mood. I would usually use about 15 drops, so equal parts of the frankincense and the grapefruit. And then I would use double of Douglas fir. I know that sounds like a lot, but that's what I would do. So if I was doing, say, 15 of frankincense and 15 of grapefruit, I would actually add 30 drops of Douglas fir. You really want to make sure that the the blend has a lot of that smell in it. And then you're going to use a 125 milliliter spray bottle, so a relatively small one. If you're using larger bottles, of course, you've got to multiply your recipe. I got the cutest email from someone the other day who said that they made a roll-on, and they made a sprayer bottle, and they used an 8-ounce sprayer bottle, which would be about 500 milliliters. And they added, I think, 3 or 4 drops of oil, and they weren't sure why it didn't smell. Okay, why didn't it smell, everybody? Because they didn't have enough essential oil in there. Also, the recipe that they were copying was for a very small roller bottle, not for a big sprayer bottle. So I explained that if you add more blended in, obviously more water or more fractionated coconut oil, you want to up the ratio. So you really want to add a lot of essential oil. Look, you can always add more. It's hard to take away, but if you start at a certain level based on the size of the sprayer bottle, then you can, or the roll-on, you can always add a couple more. When my test is, don't put the top on, give it a good shake, and then smell the top, or even take a little bit out onto your fingers and then smell your hand and see, is this smelly enough for me? Do I like it? Does it smell enough, or it's not quite enough? But this is one of my personal favorites. Okay, let's talk a little bit about yarrow palm, and then I want to talk about guaiac wood and our Spanish sage. So if you haven't been using your yarrow palm for a while, your yarrow palm duo, because I know some of you use the capsules, and I do too, I'm going to encourage you to start using it now. It really is a wonderful blend of, as we know, yarrow essential oil and cold pressed pomegranate seed oil. It does support the cellular, immune, and nervous system, and it rejuvenates the skin amazingly. I'm applying it a couple of different ways. Number one is I'm putting it on the backs of my hands at night before I go to sleep. I make sure I really rub it in because I don't want to get the blue on any of my sheets. You can also apply it onto your face after you've cleansed your face at night. Again, making sure to really make sure that it's not too blue, because when you lie down in bed, the blue will come off on your sheets. And then finally, as I think I've mentioned on here before, I was in a hotel and scraped up my shin 2+ months ago, and I still have a kind of a yay there. And so I'm gently massaging it with my yarrow palm, and I am actually seeing a difference. The cool thing is I started taking pictures. So I started taking pictures right at the beginning. By the time it's gone, I'll be able to show all of you exactly what happened. Ivy says that she's making a body buttercream for eczema. She's watching. Oh my gosh, so amazing. And Danielle says she's using on her face with her moisturizer, which is another great way for it to be not to be so blue. So you'd like to take kind of a blob about the size of a small coin of your moisturizer, add in 1 dropperful of your yarrow palm botanical blend, and then run those together and simply apply that. It will be much less blue and absorb much more quickly. But during the cold and winter months, now is the time for you to protect your skin. Use your yarrow palm. Okay, let's move on. I want to talk to you a little bit about guaiac wood. Now, guaiac wood is a word maybe you've never heard of before, or maybe when you heard of it for the first time, it was during convention. It's sometimes also known as Palo Santo, and we know there are companies out there that sell Palo Santo. Some Palo Santo actually is an endangered species, so doTERRA is separating themselves from the name Palo Santo, but it is often used in spirituality for an elevated sense of being in tune with nature, with the divine. And it has been used for really millennia, probably, if not for at least for centuries, in different sorts of spiritual practices. If you're feeling distressed or feeling restless, if you can't relax, if you are feeling anxious, you want to make sure that you've got your guaiac wood available to either apply or to put in your diffuser. I would be substituting it for things like some of your other wood oils, like your cedar wood, or perhaps even some of your evergreens. It does have a fairly mild smell, which is nice. You could add it together with some copaiba for that 1-2 punch. One of the things we love about copaiba is it does relax you, but it's also an anti-inflammatory. So when it's applied to the muscles and the joints, it can actually provide relief. One of the things that I love about the Deep Blue stick, and we're going to talk about Deep Blue in a minute, is that it does include copaiba. So now what could you do? You could apply your Deep Blue stick and then apply your guaiac wood right on top. If you're using Deep Blue rub or Deep Blue essential oil, apply the oil or the rub, and then add your guaiac wood right on top. For any sort of grief you may be feeling, you also want to use your guaiac wood. And then last but not least, anything like muscle cramps or discomfort or spasms in your muscles. You can be massaging it onto your feet, onto your calves, your shins, toes, the bottoms of your legs, wherever you're feeling that inability to transmit information towards the lower extremities of your body. I hope I'm being clear. Use your guaiac wood. It really will help you. Okay, let's keep going. When we talk a little bit about winter, we want to talk about carrying around roller bottles. And certainly you can use any of the pre-made roller bottles. I sometimes will blend, and I know this has gotten a lot of press. I think it used to be called Flume, but I don't know if it's called Flume still. But you could carry just frankincense, on guard, tea tree, and lemon in a bottle, and kind of be applying it throughout the day. You can apply it right here under your nose, behind your ears, on the back of your neck, on your wrists. It will smell a little almost medicinal, if you will, but because we've left out the oregano in this particular blend, it's not going to have that very strong, pungent smell. We want to be especially in social situations, we want to smell nice and fresh. You can add a little bit of cinnamon or clove into this blend, so we'll have that Christmassy smell. But the basis of the blend is really the frankincense, the on guard, the tea tree, and the lemon. So it's sort of like loft, L-O-F-T. Yes, lemon, on guard, frankincense, tea tree. There we go. So it's the loft blend. What does everybody think of the loft blend? Ivy also says to tell us that she sleeps like a baby when she diffuses guaiac wood. That's amazing. Okay. Let's keep moving on. So the loft blend, not blend. Did I invent something? Maybe I did. Okay. Last but not least, we want to talk about, actually, I've got a couple of recipes for you after this, but we want to talk about diffuser recipes, and all the diffuser recipes in the chat. We've got one for gingerbread house, which includes ginger, cassia, and clove. Another called By the Fire, which includes wild orange, frankincense, and cinnamon. And then finally, Long Winter Sleep and Winter Chai. Winter Chai is one of my personal favorites. I've made that one over and over again, including orange, cinnamon, cardamom, and clove. I'll also add a drop of ginger in there to give it that really spicy smell. It smells very appley, very fallish and wintry. You want to use your diffuser consistently, because all of those things are going to help you use your new eucalyptus in your diffuser and your guaiac wood. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Deep Blue. I know I'm jumping around a little bit. You can see that the Deep Blue line has gotten enormous. We've got 6 products there at least. Well, I guess including the little sachets. So it looks like we've got 5 products. All of which work really well, all of which I use consistently and interchangeably. The blend of wintergreen, camphor, peppermint, ylang-ylang, helichrysum, blue tansy, blue chamomile, and osmanthus helps to relieve muscle tension. Of course, the addition of copaiba in the stick just gives it that extra something that works really well and relieves muscle tension and soreness. I'm using them consistently after exercise, but my husband's using them consistently before exercise. So my husband exercises, I want to say 6, maybe even 7 days a week sometimes. And he's been using the Deep Blue Rub beforehand, which is a great way to do it, applying it to the muscles where you think perhaps you might feel some soreness, or that in general, you want to make sure nice and warm and limbered up, especially in the cold weather, right? We want to apply it and then go do our exercises. Now, for me, at least, the Deep Blue Rub sometimes can feel warming, sometimes can feel cooling. You might want to try using either the oil or the stick before your workouts. Either way, you're going to get that same muscle relaxing and relief from any tension you might be experiencing. We've got a couple of things. Cassia and cinnamon bark, as you know, are super popular during this time of year. They are not exactly the same oil, but they are similar in chemical constituency. Cinnamon oil is extracted from bark and does it supports the metabolic system and metabolic function, and we can maintain a healthier immune system if we're using our cinnamon oil. The only thing about cinnamon oil is that it comes, as we know, in a 5 milliliter bottle. So we may be able to use it, may have to use it a little bit more sparingly. Cassia, also coming from bark of a tree, has also been used for thousands of years. You can diffuse it for its warming properties and its scent. I like to use them interchangeably. Sometimes I'll use them together. You can, both of them are edible. They can be used in cooking, if you're using them in a hot drink. We want to always remember that they are hot. So you're using your toothpick method for dipping and then swirling, but 2 oils that we want to keep in mind in the colder months. Here's a quick recipe for On Guard pancakes, which I have already posted in the chat if you didn't get a chance to take a look at it. Pancakes in general, not always the healthiest, but this particular recipe includes bananas, oatmeal, and a little bit of Greek yogurt. So they are going to have a healthier, slightly healthier profile. You're going to add the cinnamon bark oil right to the batter. And then what you can do is actually add a drop of cinnamon bark oil to the syrup, which gives it kind of that 1-2 punch, that sort of spicy cinnamony. Again, make sure you're doing it modestly, but 1 drop of cinnamon bark oil into the batter blend is a good addition. Here's the other thing that can make the, if you're able to, you're not don't have a nut allergy, you can add nuts into the batter, which will also increase the profile, the nutritional profile of the pancakes. In general, I tend to avoid pancakes because most of the time they're sort of like a refined sugar, flour, carbohydrate bomb that my body just can't process. When I eat something like that, like if I go to a traditional place and eat those kind of high flour, sugar, carbohydrates, afterwards, I feel like I'm going to go into a coma. I just literally fall asleep between the sugar of the syrup going on top and the refined carbohydrates. I don't know. I just can't process it right now. But if I was adding in all those other things that really up the profile, I could make it worthwhile. I have found sometimes I can eat a single waffle, perhaps with maybe almond butter on top, and that will give it a blend of some protein and some carbs, especially if it's a whole wheat waffle, and I'll be able to process it a lot better. We've got to make sure as we age, well, not just as we age, but that our metabolic system doesn't show huge spikes of sugar. We want to make sure that our glucose levels stay steady throughout the day. Part of the reason why is that it does really upset our metabolic system to have these huge spikes and then plummets. And the other thing is, it is aging to us, and what's something I didn't realize, but when your blood sugar spikes and then plummets, it actually creates creates damage in the body that's not easy to get rid of. That's a whole other conversation, but needless to say, these pancakes are healthy. Here's some last recipe for peppermint chocolates. Not quite as healthy, but also not the worst. including coconut oil, raw honey, peppermint oil, semi-sweet chocolate chips, and 1 candy cane. You're kind of mushing everything together, if you will, using a hand mixer and then rolling it in the little chocolates. Have any of you, and maybe you can tell me, have any of you gotten the new chocolates from the holiday gift guide? If you did, give me a number 3 in the chat. I want to see if you got those chocolates. I got a few bags, and I have to say I've been giving them away. And I just looked at my stash, and my stash is kind of low. And I was thinking, wow, maybe I should have gotten a couple of extra, but they really are super yummy. And they're that very, very deep, deep, dark, dense chocolate. Anybody else get the chocolates or not yet? I know that if you live in a warm country, you may not have gotten the chocolates. You might not have been able to ship them to you, but here in the US, they are a wonderful thing. Maybe, I don't know. Let's see if I can maybe ship some in the future. Can't get that. Yeah, Ivy says you can't get them in Singapore. Okay. I'm going to see if I can make that work. Anyway, thank you so much for having been here today. We wanted the last essential oil I want to talk to you about is Spanish sage. So let's take a minute and talk about Spanish sage. We want to use our sage actually for our mental and processing and executive function. So whenever we're talking about the brain, we can include Spanish sage in there. So when we think about sage, we think about wisdom, we talk about smartness. Yeah, all of those things we want to use our Spanish sage. So we can use them for memory, for recall, for oxidative stress, for poor circulation, for any sort of swelling or inflammation in the joints, any kind of cognition issues, mental acuity. So we're thinking smart brain processing, spine. Use it on your spine, use it on the back of your neck. It really is an amazing oil. If you want to make a bit of a blend, you could blend it with cedarwood, or you could blend it with one of the peppermint oils. I would blend it probably with spearmint, which is sort of mild. I know we have a new blend, our Spearmint, but our Spearmint on the skin is going to be a little, maybe too much of a wake me up, at least for this time of year, but you could be using it with spearmint, or you could be using with eucalyptus. So think about blending those two things together, but use your Spanish sage. If you got the kit from convention, you're going to have one in there. Take a look. Okay, if you have used the Spanish sage, the guaiac wood, or the eucalyptus, put an E, an S, or a G in the chat. And if you use all three, put E, S, and G. Go now. Okay. In the meantime, please follow and subscribe. We're on all social media chat platforms, as you know. Today was a little bit of a goofy day. I don't know. Couldn't get my act together today, but we finally got it together, and I'm so happy that you all were here. Thank you for having been here, and have a wonderful week. For all of you that are on live, stay on. For anybody who is on our YouTube, we're going to say a fond farewell. Thanks for having been here, and we'll see you back here next week, and we'll be talking about more things, I think, having to do with metabolism. As we go into the new year, we're going to have a lot of people that are thinking, holidays are over. But for the meantime, we want to just really enjoy our families. So from our house to your house, I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving, and we'll see you back here next week. Bye-bye now.